Now, to introduce you to our next story, first let's take a look at these. These are action devices. They're the footwear of the Tennessee walking horse. They're strapped around the ankle just above the hoof. They're there to make the horse step high, abnormally, because that's what Tennessee walking horses are judged on. But now there's controversy growing around such walking horse shows, and the industry it supports. There are charges that the action device hurts, and some trainers make it hurt more and more. Our Raphael Abramowitz reports tonight from Tennessee.
Tennessee walking horse is big business. It's estimated that the industry takes in anywhere from $300 to $400 million a year, and nowhere is that business bigger than in Shelbyville, Tennessee. It began there back in 1939 with something called a celebration, and it's been going on every year since. The treasured gait of the Tennessee walking horse isn't something that comes naturally to horses. Most horses place about 65% of their weight on their front legs, the rest on the rear. The Tennessee walking horse has been trained to do the reverse. The effect that creates is something magnificent to observe. But what you can see is the training that went into it. And because there are shortcuts to such training, the breed has become controversial. This man doesn't want his identity revealed. He knows all the tricks of the cruel trade. He spent 15 years of his life around the barns in Shelbyville working with Tennessee walking horses. What did you see that they did in terms of hurting those horses?
I've seen them use mustard oil on them, croton oil, diesel fuel.
What does that do?
It just makes their feet tender, really.
Now, are the horses put in pain when they have this applied to them?
Oh, yeah.
Tell me about that.
It's pretty rough, you know. It's a bad thing. Because, I've seen them stand in the stall and just holding their front feet up off the ground, you know. Front feet be hurting so bad.
Dr. Michael Myers is a veterinarian from Virginia. He has seen some of the abuses firsthand.
They'll apply the material to this area right back here, frequently right in the center, between the bulbs of the heels, or right along the bulbs of the heels. They will also occasionally go up and apply materials around the pastern area here, or even up on the fetlock. They will even sweat the material into the horse's leg by putting it on, applying saran wrap over the top of it, and then leg wraps over the top of that, which opens up the pores and causes the material to seep deeper into the skin.
Now, these horses are inspected, right?
Yes, they are.
And they're inspected before showtime, right?
Yes.
And then they're also inspected during showtime, aren't they?
Usually.
Okay.
Particularly the ones that place high.
Now, a veterinary doctor such as yourself would notice these things, wouldn't he or she?
You can, except you can also train the horse to not react to the inspection test.
Aren't these horses inspected before they show?
Yeah, for sensitivity.
Well, don't people see these soaring things that occur to the horses?
You know, those horses are called steward, and like you steward them in a barn, like you take them and press on their feet, and like when they draw their foot back, you chastise them, as they say.
What do you mean you chastise them?
You know, take a ball bat and just work on his ribs a little till he won't move his foot.
So in other words, when the horse is sensitive to inspection around the front,
a certain area, wherever he was fixed.
Wherever he was fixed, and the horse reacts, you then do what?
You hit him.
Hit him with what?
Anything handy, whatever you're using.
What did you use?
Twister stick, mostly.
Sticks?
Yeah.
Baseball bats?
Yeah, it's been done.
Where did you hurt the horse when you used those sticks?
You hit him around the ribs, because, I mean, you don't want to hurt him bad, where it busts the skin.
So what is it you want to be doing with this? I mean, what is it you're doing?
It's teaching him not to jerk his foot when he gets stewarded. When you carry him up there to get stewarded, you know, before you can go in the ring.
For the inspection process?
Yeah.
So that the horse knows that if...
I mean, there's several other ways around that, too, you know.
What are
like cording them, tying a cord on their tongue.
I'm sorry, tell me that again?
Taking a shoestring and tying it on their tongue.
The horse's tongue?
Yeah, and around the bit and tie it around their top gum. Put a lot of pressure on it.
What does that do?
See, it's hurting him there more than it's hurt. His feet are hurting, so he don't pay any attention to his feet.
So the whole idea is to get the horse to feel
mind
pain
off of his feet.
Off of his feet.
Yeah.
And how frequently was this done while you were in the barns? This a regular thing they do?
Oh, yeah.
Including the top horses?
Oh, yeah.
The American Horse Protection Association, Incorporated, is convinced that Tennessee walking horses are still being abused and have filed a lawsuit to stop it. Russell J. Gasper is the attorney for the association. I don't understand why the trainers would do that to these animals.
The walking horse is a gaited horse. It has an animated gait, especially in its front legs. Walking horses are trained using painful techniques to exaggerate that gait, to make the animal more competitive when its natural talents might not be good enough to win. The one that is most competitive is the one with the most animated gait, the one that steps the highest, that extends his forelegs the farthest, and that has the longest stride in the rear. And the abuse that the association complains of is the abuse that is intentionally inflicted on the animal to produce those effects, and to exaggerate them in a horse that might not naturally walk that way.
Now, what are those things that you're complaining of? What are those devices?
The two major devices are a group of implements that are commonly called action devices and built-up stacked shoes. Action devices are either a chain or a roller that is attached around the lower portion of the horse's front leg, and it slides up and down the leg and strikes the area just above the hoof. The stacked shoe is a series of pads that might be made of leather and plastic that are inserted between the normal horseshoe and the bottom of the horse's hoof. It builds the horse's hoof up about 4 inches off the ground.
Why do they do that?
The stacked shoe helps exaggerate the gait in the foreleg. Especially, it helps the horse throw its leg out farther and snap its leg down faster when it gets to the end of its stride in the front.
Okay, you get these caustic substances, you rub it into the hairline above the hoof, you put a chain on it, and then you exercise the horse.
Yep.
And the friction of the chain with this caustic element will soar the horse.
Yeah.
You make him extremely sensitive. And so that when the hoof hits the ground, let's say, there'll be pain.
Yeah.
And when he raises that hoof to sort of like get rid of the pain, right? Then that irritation is increased.
And then
so
it's got to hit the ground again.
So it's got to hit the ground again. So it's like a vicious cycle that gets started. And you get the gait out of the horse precisely because of this phenomenon. Because he wants to toss the chain off, I take it. And that is really what happens.
That, and the also part of the gait is the fact that because he's keeping the weight off of his front feet from the discomfort, it causes him to put his hind end way under him to try to balance the weight, counterbalance the weight on his rear end.
And that's not a natural way for a horse to move around.
Not in his extreme, it's not.
It's not.
There are those horses that have been bred to move that way, but not quite that extremely.
That's the cruelty side of the walking horse story. And to give the other, we have with us tonight Roger Hand, who's the Administrative Services Director of the National Horse Show Regulatory Commission, which is an industry watchdog in all of this. Nice to have you with us, Mr. Hand. You want to answer some of those criticism and charges?
Well, sure, I'd be glad to. To start with, if all those practices were done, no horse is going to continuously be able to compete with in pain at all times, which is the allocations that I've just listened to. I couldn't see the video part, but I listened to the audio, and anybody will tell you that the horse that's being worked and in pain all the time is not going to continue to perform in any manner that these horses perform in.
You know, the charges and the criticisms of Tennessee walking horses have been around a long time. I mean, wouldn't it be in your interest to attempt to end the charges by getting some kind of committee or commission that both you and those who want to protect the animals together, rather than your own watchdog commission?
Would you say that one more time,
Well,
please?
let me quickly restate it. What I'm trying to get at is there some ground for you and your accusers to come together on and maybe get a committee or a watchdog agency that would be supported by both groups?
Well, we have our regulatory committee at this time, which is a self-regulated industry committee, which is regulating the walking horse industry at this time.
What are you going to do about this suit? What are you going to do about this lawsuit?
The USDA is working on that suit at this time. They have sued the United States Department of Agriculture, not the Regulatory Committee. We don't have anything to do with that.
To finish up quickly, you're satisfied with the way the industry handles those horses?
Yes. Well, I'd like to say one more thing. If
Sure.
these horses are in such bad shape, we've got horses in the 4-inch pads or making the horses lame. We've got horses that are 20 years old that are still showing and winning blue ribbons, and I don't see very many thoroughbreds that's on the track at 20 years old or any other breed at that either. So if we're putting so much pressure on these horses that they can't perform like that, then I don't know how they're expecting them to last as long as they do.
Fine. Thank you very much, Mr. Hand. Thanks for joining us tonight. Roger Hand
Thank
in
you.
Nashville. We'll be back after this.